Good morning, Bird Nation. Welcome to the hotel. It's Monday morning, December 7th, 2020. December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy. President Franklin D. Roosevelt proclaimed famously the 79th anniversary of the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor in Hawaii. Just before 8 a.m., Sunday, December 7th, 1941, hundreds of Japanese planes made a surprise raid on Pearl Harbor. During the attack, which was launched from aircraft carriers, nearly 20 American naval vessels, including 8 battleships, were damaged or destroyed, as well as more than 300 aircraft, according to the History Channel, which, as we all know, we like to put corporate entities in charge of history. The official American death toll was 2,403, according to the Pearl Harbor Visitors Bureau, including 2,008 Navy personnel, 109 Marines, 218 Army service members, and 68 civilians. Of the dead, 1,177 were from the USS Arizona, the wreckage of which now serves as the main memorial to the incident. 55 Japanese soldiers were also killed. The total wounded was 1,143, including 710 Navy, 69 Marines, and 364 Army, and 103 civilians. This, of course, marks the United States entering fully into World War II. Whether you believe it was a black swan event or not, here we are, and we honor the loss of those men and women. Good morning. So, here we are in the hotel doing the Monday brief, and I appreciate y'all very much for being here. As you know, the YouTube algorithm is no longer our friend, so if you could please like this broadcast, share it out, and give this a thumbs up, that helps us greatly. If you are not on Patreon, we would appreciate it if you would consider it. $1 a month or $10 a year will get you started, and we post these things daily to Patreon, in addition to about another 100 exclusive pieces of content per month. So you can just go to patreon.com and search for Bear Independent, and you'll find us there. Threat Matrix for Monday morning, the 7th of December, 2020. Civil unrest. Hundreds have rallied in protest to support the Staten Island bar, shuttered for refusing to follow COVID-19 measures. Who reject tyranny have been occurring since the election, which I think at this point is a good thing. In Seattle, more arrests were made last week after members of a protest damaged and vandalized multiple businesses. Windows were smashed and buildings were tagged with calls for anarchy, arson, violence against cops, and slogans supporting Black Lives Matter. The same has occurred in Portland recently. In the tyranny column, we have CNN reporting that vaccination cards will be used as a simple, easy way to track who has been vaccinated for COVID-19. I have not, and you can kiss my ass. And CNBC reported that a proposal from a former congressman would require immunization for another stimulus check. The proposed amount of the stimulus ranged from $1,000 to $2,000. Now, I've heard this said that this could be a good idea to get people in low-income communities who typically don't have access to health care to sign up to get the vaccine. Perhaps it reminds me of when I'll come running. It's coercion, and you do not want to be dependent upon the system that's going to bait you with a couple $1,000s to take a vaccine, whether or not the vaccine is completely innocuous. Whether or not you think we should have the vaccine or not have the vaccine, the methods that are being employed to coerce people to take the vaccine is too much. It makes me wonder strongly at the motivations behind producing this vaccine so broadly, so quickly. If it has fetal tissue in it, I will not put it in my body. If it has swine in it, I will not put it in my body. And you will not put it into my wife or my children or the people that I love. We have methods of dealing with such things. Y'all, we shall continue. We would continue if I did not just fat finger that tremendous believe it. There we go. Rome is burning. The availability of shipping containers is low in China due to empty containers sitting in U.S. depots much longer than they used to, up to 3 times as long as in other countries. Plus, there's a bunch of crunchy granola eating hippies that keep trying to turn them into off-grid homes in the middle of nowhere. So that's also contributing to the unavailability. And yes, the giggle that you heard is from my 14-year-old who's rolled up like a burrito in the other bed over there, trying to be quiet, but doing a poor job of it. And in the disinformation column, as we talked about last week, Trump made a 46-minute long speech at the White House covering the concerns of election irregularities and what it means for the security of the Democratic Republic. It was quickly flagged by social media platforms, and media outlets refused to cover the full speech. The media in times past was referred to as the fourth branch of the government. Executive, legislative, judicial, and then the media, which were supposed to keep tabs on and report on the other 3. Obviously, they're not officially part of the government, but they were seen as, when they did their jobs appropriately, an additional check and balance against the other 3. Unfortunately, if there's any type of collusion going on right now, it's between the existing branches of government and the media to push a narrative. They don't, and this is not news to any of y'all, but they don't have unique opinions anymore. The delivery of news is now subcontracted to a handful of conglomerations that have a top-down worldview that is pervaded through all of their different delivery methods, whether it's newspaper or websites or podcasts or whatever it may be, CNN, TV channels, online digital media channels. It's all top down. It's all the AP. It's all Bloomberg. It's all Reuters or the et al. There's no original thought anymore being pervaded by these large media companies because they are large media companies. And a shift occurred at some point where, rather than the media responding to its constituency, its viewership, the viewership now responds to the media. The tail is now wagging the dog. And I think we all know this, but it's frustrating as hell. The media continues to state that there is no evidence of fraud, air quote, and that Trump is making baseless claims, air quote, while sworn affidavits, video evidence, and clear statistical data of irregularities backed by expert opinion continue to pour in. The bare independent intel staff alone have received multiple first-hand accounts of voting shenanigans in several states. Us, the dance monkeys, The dance monkeys are aware of this. The Bear Nation is aware of this, firsthand involved. By the way, if you have intel you would like to send in for consideration for the brief, intel at bearindependent.com is where you would send that, intel at bearindependent.com, as well as your silver linings, your good news, the stuff that's going on out there in the world that puts a smile on your face and puts a smile on the Father's face, intel at bearindependent.com. Anthony Aiello, good morning. Ontario's chief medical officer has said, we can't force someone to take a vaccine. What? Listen to this. Ontario's chief medical officer has said, quote, we can't force someone to take a vaccine, ... What may be mandatory is proof of vaccination in order to have latitude and freedom to move around without wearing personal protective equipment, end quote. A mandate for a vaccine won't be necessary if life is made difficult or impossible for anyone who refuses to toe the line. And we have discussed this at length here at Bear Independent. I don't believe that they will mandate that you must take the vaccine, but they will say, they will use the corporate infrastructure that they have to say, I'm sorry, sir, but you can't ride the Amtrak without your vaccination papers. I'm sorry, sir, but Walmart has a policy that no one is allowed to enter the store without your vaccination papers. I'm sorry, sir, but Target, but Kroger, whoever. We have a policy, unfortunately, sir, that you will not be allowed to enter our building or engage in our services without proof of vaccination. Now, if you would like to, we have our Kroger mini clinic set up right over here for, it's free. It's completely taxpayer funded, all free, completely taxpayer funded. All you have to do is just walk into the tent, sit down. We're going to type your blood. We're going to give you the vaccine. And then you can come back in 72 hours and we'll have your order ready for pickup. Bullshit. Not doing that, but they will do that. Unless millions, tens of millions say no. Good luck with that. I'll stand in your parking lot and watch your building slowly deteriorate due to a lack of foot traffic and watch your stocks plummet. I'll eat my sheep. Thank you very much. I'll make my own bread. Thank you very much. And again, being completely honest, that vaccine might be the best thing since sliced bread. Even if it was, I don't trust it because of the lengths at which you're going to coerce people to take it. And the vaccine is somewhere around 94% effective. COVID-19 is 80% effective. 80% of the people that have it are asymptomatic. We've gotten into this before. 99.8 something percent survivability rate amongst those who contract it. Not humans. Amongst those who actually contract the disease. I'm good, thanks. I don't need your tyranny. And as discussed last Friday on the Great Reset, it's not about the disease. It's about the cover for action, the plausible deniability that the disease creates. So that they can usher in the Great Reset. We're going to talk a little bit more about that here in a hot minute, about Chinese bio warfare with some excellent reporting from the dance monkeys. So hang tight for that, but that is definitely coming. By the way, if you're on the podcast right now, please rate and review. We appreciate that deeply. If you're on the live stream right now, thumbs up are a great way to assist us in the YouTube CNN reported that vaccination cards will be used as a simple, easy way to track who has been vaccinated for COVID-19, but that there may be more incentives for citizens of the U.S. CNBC reported that a proposal from a former U.S. congressman would require immunization for another stimulus check amounting to between $1,000 and $2,000. While it is presented as how would you like to be paid to take the vaccine, one wonders if it would be more accurate to say, unless you inject this substance into your body, you cannot receive the stimulus you so desperately need. This proposal truly targets the poor and vulnerable, only providing an easy choice for the rich. To put a fine point on the sentiment seemingly felt by many of those in authority, an LA County official recently stated, quote, "If it were up to me, anybody not wearing a mask when they are out in public would be arrested. That's an act of domestic terrorism and should be treated like one," end quote. In what America does the exercising of one's rights make someone a vile enemy of the state? In the America that we are potentially going to be living in the very near future. So stay frosty with that. We spent this past weekend eating prime rib and stuffed mushrooms and shooting people and teaching them how to not die. And it was a blast. But the hotel that we were staying at, we were required to contact corporate the morning of our event. The hotel manager on duty, MOD, within 30 seconds of me meeting this gentleman, got all up in my business. He said, "So you taking the vaccine?" I said, "No, I'm not taking the vaccine." He says, "I think everybody should take this vaccine." And I said, "I think you're dead wrong. If you want to take it, go ahead and take it, but I'm not taking it." And he said, "Barry," I said, "Yeah." Mind you, we paid a significant amount of money to rent a portion of this space because that's how hotels work. I trade you money for square footage. He said, "Barry, I'm going to need you to wear a mask." And I said, "No, I'm not doing that." He said, "If I give you one, will you wear it?" I said, "No, I won't wear it." They said, "Well, I'm afraid you can't be here then." I said, "I'm leaving later, bro." Immediately following that conversation, there were tables and chairs in the way of our avenue of accessing our conference room. We were supposed to have a television to present the PowerPoint material on. There was none to be found. Literally, some of my staff was told, "Nope, there's no TVs in this hotel that you can use." There was supposed to be coffee service. There was no coffee service. My daughter was told that she wasn't allowed to get breakfast because she was with us and we weren't staying at the hotel. To which she replied, "Oh, yes, we are." And he said, "Well, I need to know what room you're in." And essentially, this person became one giant asshole to everybody who was with us. And, oh, Hans, it's okay because we're us. You know what we did? Precisely what we set out to do in the first place. We had a good training. And the manager on duty was made aware of the fact that he could kiss our collective hairy asses. But it's getting to that point in some places. Now, the hotel I'm in this morning was wonderful. There's a patio outside. There's about 4 or 5 signs that I walked past from my room to the patio that said, "This facility is a 100% smoke-free facility." And I said, "Hey, is it okay if me and a brother we go out there and smoke some cigars?" And they're like, "Yeah, that's cool." I said, "Is it cool if we drink whiskey on your patio while we smoke cigars?" They're like, "That's cool." We realized we forgot our ice bucket. They gave us another ice bucket. And after about a half an hour, showed up with a pitcher full of ice in case we needed more ice in our ice bucket to fill our whiskey glasses while we smoked cigars on their patio right next to "This is a 100% smoke-free facility" sign. Same chain of hotels, but different management. So, Freight Car Mark, the hotel that I'm talking about that we had an issue at, has this logo right here. And our most recent training was in Jenks, Oklahoma. I'll just put it to you that way. So, shout out to everybody who came out for class this weekend. It was great to see y'all. It was great to shoot y'all and blow holes in you and make you fix yourselves. And it was great to let y'all shoot me and for me to bleed out slowly on the concrete while you did scans and self-assessments and self-treatment, and then elevated to a higher level of care. Bama Buckeye, it was awesome. It was really good. John says it was a good class. Thank you, John. So to this point right now, possession does not equate to proficiency. So if you need a handmade, made in America, guaranteed forever blowout kit, bearindependent.com is where you will find that. You can use promo code BearNation for $10 off your order. Also, if you would please go to refugemedical.com. That's our new venture, and that is for the world at large. You'd make me a psych patient if you needed role-playing oogies. Thanks, Ducks. Yes, dear. I got barbecue on my pants. Copy that. I'm kind of in the middle of something right now. Good luck with your barbecue pants. Yes, Bruce Nichols, that's correct. However, if you need handmade, made in America, guaranteed forever blowout kits, bearindependent.com. Refuge Medical. If you could please leave us reviews if you've purchased our equipment at Refuge Medical, that helps us. Also, if you can share that out to the world at large, that helps us greatly. We make the best kits on the market, period, the end. And we sell them for significantly cheaper than our competitors do, period, the end. In fact, we just came out with a public access kit, hangs in a box on the wall for your school, your church, your small business, your whatever. And it is the exact same box with the exact same kit inside of it, with the exact same components for $100 cheaper than what Trauma Pack High Threat Innovation sells them for. $100 cheaper. Why? Because I'm not a scumbag whose only purpose in life is to take as much of your fiat currency as possible. Because I want good kits in the hands of good people to save lives. That's why. So if you need some medical equipment, bearindependent.com, refugemedical.com. Use promo code BearNation. Thank you, Hans. Appreciate y'all. And it was, as always, great to be amongst the Bear Nation this weekend and to role play and blow holes in one another. Good times. Moving right along. Protests are increasing around the world. They may be official protests in the streets like in Germany, where they have gathered to bang pots and blow whistles, waving signs that say no to forced vaccinations and stop the corona pandemic lie. Good for you, Germans. The protests may be the type that occur when each individual simply says no. From a member of the Bear Nation. In our tiny house in Tennessee, we went to eat for our daughter's 16th birthday. I'm happy to report that as we were seated ourselves and ordered our food without the menus just being handed to us, there was not one person wearing a mask, not workers or patrons. I can still enjoy going to work without issue, and all is well in my little corner of the world. In fact, today, while I was on break at work, I received a phone call from a brother. He was informing me that a large number of people in our church had tested positive for COVID-19. Everyone else in the break room was listening in. So under the new corporate rules, I have to report that I was around so many people that were positive. So I did. And without ever looking at me, the response was sarcastically, just make sure you wear your mask. Praise Yah. As discussed earlier, the availability of shipping containers is low in China due to empty containers sitting in U.S. depots much longer than they used to, up to 3 times as long as in other countries. Other supply chain issues continue, though everyone seems to be working hard to mitigate supply chain issues and panic buying this time. We shall see. From a Bear National, all canned soups unavailable at hospitals where I work. Coca-Cola has announced they are switching from aluminum cans to plastic bottles for all hospitals in the Charlotte and North Carolina market. Hospital food nutrition departments in all hospitals in the state are continuing to stockpile food and resources for patients just in case if the supply chain becomes inoperable. Also, National Guard has been seen at COVID-19 testing centers in Charlotte, most likely helping with testing, but more so there to be able to switch the testing centers over to drive and jab centers once the vaccine becomes available. And in bio-warfare and foreign surveillance, and a wonderful article put together by the Dance Monkeys at bearindependent.com. And we thank you, Dance Monkeys, and we thank you, patrons at Patreon, for supporting us in what we do, because without you guys and girls doing what you do, we wouldn't be here doing this. From the Dance Monkeys. Fox News reported recently on the threat posed by China having the largest DNA database in the world. The country has been collecting its own people's DNA for years for surveillance and law enforcement, but they also have the ability to obtain DNA data of foreigners by, quote, buying American companies which have DNA profiles, subsidizing DNA analysis in Chang. This isn't just a theory. In 2015, China hacked the second largest insurance company in the United States, Anthem. It is not an indication of a general penchant for sciences. The country does not allow foreign researchers access to Chinese DNA. So it's not simply that they're interested in DNA. They're interested in your DNA, and they're interested in you not having their DNA. This year, China has been using the pandemic to enlarge its DNA database through travel requirements, but is aiming to expand it by making a Chinese vaccine available while collecting information about people internationally. Final phases of multiple trials have been rolled out abroad in at least 16 different countries of the China vaccine. One potential reason for this collecting of biological information is the development of bioweapons that could target specific ethnic groups of people. All the more reason to come out of her, my people, lest you partake of her sins and receive of her plagues. Be set apart. Be set apart. That's what sanctified means. Sanctified is translated as holy in the King Jimmy Bible. Set apart. Another possibility for this push for DNA data is a preparation for massive surveillance and law enforcement, as it is already taking place in mainland China. China's goals for supremacy are no secret. In a speech in mid-October of this year, sociologist Li Yi made the following statements, which are very representative of the typical Chinese patriotic sentiment. Quote, it turns out that China is going to overtake the United States in 2027. It was said that this might be delayed for a year or two, but this year, God has pulled off a little trick, right? God created COVID-19 and spread it to every country in the world. And quote, COVID-19 is bad for Europe and America, but it is beneficial for North Korea and China. Quote, in the global economy, China stands out. We are ahead of schedule in terms of overtaking the United States. There will be no problem reaching this goal in 2027. The US will not survive. Let me repeat that. In the global economy, China stands out. We are ahead of schedule in terms of overtaking the United States. There will be no problem reaching this goal in 2027. The United States will not survive. And quote, as long as 1.4 billion Chinese people eat, sleep every day, as long as we go to work every day, we will drive the United States to its death. There are at least two concerning possibilities that may be in America's future or even the future of its children. In the cases of either foreign surveillance or bio warfare, how will you prepare your family for the consequences of each scenario? The Great Reset aims to do what? We've looked at that quite a bit. It aims to shift the world, shift the United States at the very least, into stakeholder capitalism, which is precisely how China runs things. Yankee Watchdog says behind every blade of grass, that's correct. But they've known for 70 years, 80 years that you can't invade the United States. So instead, they're invading it another way. Think of total war. China is well known for total war. Think of asymmetric warfare. If they know that they can't just walk across the border or land the cargo planes or kick the paratroopers out of the back of the cargo planes and start taking this place over because there's a rifle behind every blade of grass, that's just one facet. That's just one approach that we as Americans have shored up while leaving other gaping holes in our security. They're not storming the beaches. They're not coming here with rifles and machine guns and artillery trying to take this place by force. Instead, they've been taking it through capitalism and coercion for decades and decades and decades. And more importantly, they understand what the goal is. They, as a nation, have a national goal and, frankly, a strong government. Now, it's a tyrannical government, but it's a strong government with a national goal of overtaking the United States by 2027. They have a mission. The United States has transferred from offensive to defensive. We're trying to maintain what we have as a collective, not build something new. And I really, really, really deeply personally believe if we are going to suffer the fate of an empire, per Sir John Glubb, and we're on a 250-year cycle, the end of that cycle is decline and decay. But the beginning of the next cycle is growth, construction, rebirth, renewal, make something. Then it's time for us on the micro to make something. Start building now. I don't know what comes next. I don't know if in 2027 we're all going to be trying to learn Mandarin so that we can do business in the United States, or if we're at the end of Donald Trump's third term, or if some great new hope comes about that all the sheeple, men and women of conservative and or liberal backings, liberal leanings, will anoint to some type of new political savior. I don't know. I have no idea. But I do know on the micro, you have a lot of control over what your life looks like. And you should be taking personal responsibility over that. And you should be building and growing right now. Nobody's going to do it for you. Amen, Bad Wabbit. Amen. Listen, adventurefrontier.com. If you need your armor, if you need your IFAKs, if you need your fluffy bunnies, you go to adventurefrontier.com because those are our brothers and we love them. And so if you're going to be in need of Spartan armor or the Bare Independent, Bare FAK, and Bare Minimum, or just a nice patch or sticker, adventurefrontier.com. Promo code BareNation will get you $10 off your armor. They've got the level 3, the level 3 plus, the level 4, the single curve, the triple curve, the anti-spall coatings, the side plates, the ceramic plates. They've got the Ranger carriers and the MOPCs and the green and the OD and the Coyote and the black and the multicam. They got all the stuff. adventurefrontier.com. Tell them Bear sent you. And Oregon, from reporting from the Blaze, medical license of Oregon doctor revoked for questioning COVID-19 face mask efficacy. An Oregon medical doctor who allegedly dismissed the coronavirus as the common cold and blasphemed face masks by questioning their efficacy, just like Fauci and Birx have done a half dozen times, and the World Health Organization has done repeatedly over and over again, has now had his medical license revoked. On December 3rd, the Oregon Medical Board issued an emergency suspension to revoke Dr. Stephen LaTulipe's medical license. According to NBC News, the Oregon Medical Board took action after LaTulipe appeared at a Stop the Steal rally on 7 November in Salem, Oregon. 19. So the Oregon Medical Board issued an emergency suspension to revoke this dude's license because they disagree with him politically. Quote, I want you to know that I never shut down during the entire COVID season from the time it was declared until now, LaTulipe said at the rally. I hate to tell you this, it might scare you, but I and my staff, none of us once wore a mask in my clinic. Good job. And how many problems did we have in our clinic from that? Zero. Absolutely none. He goes on, quote, we have been utterly duped, and I want you to know that this is insanity, and the purpose was only to shut down the American people, end quote. We just talked about shutting down the American people and China and the Great Reset. He continues, take off the mask of shame. It is a mask that is just designed to control you and shut you down. Meanwhile, LaTulipe also stands accused of telling patients that face masks do not prevent COVID-19 transmission. The Oregon Medical Board order against LaTulipe reads, quote, LT, which is now how we're now going to refer to him, LaTulipe, LT. LT regularly tells his patients that masks are ineffective in preventing the spread of COVID-19 and should not be worn. LT further asserts that because the virus particles are so small, they will pass through the recommended N95 masks and most other face coverings people are choosing to wear. LT directs patients to a YouTube video providing false information about mask wearing. False information. So now we're back in the realm of fact checkers, which we know are all funded by Soros and Facebook and Google. And facts are whatever the consensus of the powerful are. LaTulipe regularly advises, particularly for his elderly and pediatric patients, that it is very dangerous to wear masks because masks exacerbate COPD and asthma and cause or contribute to multiple serious health conditions, including, but not limited to, heart attacks, strokes, collapsed lungs, MRSA, pneumonia, and hypertension. LT asserts masks are likely to harm patients by increasing the body's carbon dioxide content through rebreathing of gas trapped behind a mask. Well, to me, all of that sounds really damn smart. Sounds like this guy actually knows what he's talking about. Good morning, Brother Dudley. Feelings over facts. Roger that. However, according to NBC News, LT has required patients with COVID-19 or those exhibiting symptoms of the virus to wear face masks. Quote, I'm very interested in sound medical practice and I'm interested in good science, he said. And when science and medicine become perverted with corrupt politics, then I'm up for a fight. And that's what made me go to that rally and say what I said. The suspension of LT's license will remain in effect until otherwise ordered, according to the Oregon Medical Board. I would be suing the living shit out of the Oregon Medical Board right now if I was LT. The owner of the bar in Staten Island, New York, this is from OANN, One American News Network. The owner who refused to close his New York City bar under coronavirus restrictions was arrested for allegedly hitting a sheriff's deputy with his car. According to reports on Sunday, authorities tried to take 34-year-old Danny Presti into custody after seeing customers enter Matt's car and hit the deputy. Before he was stopped, he continued to drive for several feet while the deputy held on to the hood. The deputy was rushed to a local hospital with leg fractures. Authorities said they are investigating Presti for felonious assault. Listen, I'm not saying we need to be running over sheriff's deputies with cars, but I'm also saying leave the freaking guy alone and let him do his damn job. You do not have the right to infringe upon somebody's life, liberty, or pursuit of happiness. That man has a job to do to protect and provide for his family. You don't get to show up and tell him that he can't work. You have an issue with social distancing, but you're going to go ahead and send dozens of cops there to swarm the place where the police officers social distancing when they showed up. And make no mistake, I love law enforcement officers. We train them all the time. But damn it, can we use some common sense here? Now, I realize we're talking about Staten Island, New York, where one might be predisposed to think that there would be an acute lack of common sense. Some people get to go to work and other people's don't. The answer is tyranny. All under the false premise of safety from the virus that's so deadly that you have to get tested to know whether or not you have it, so that the economy can be shut down, so that the Great Reset can be instituted, so that we can institute shareholder capitalism, stakeholder capitalism here in the United States of America to destroy the middle class, because the middle class has a vote, literally and figuratively, in how this country is run here in the United States of America. And COVID-19 is seeing one of the largest transfers of wealth from the middle class to the upper class during this time. Something like $115 billion or so has been transferred from the middle class out into the upper class, the ruling elites, so that China can get on board with their goal of destroying the United States, at least in a capitalistic sense, by 2027, so that we can have a new reserve currency, because we've milked the United States dollar for all that it's worth, and the powers that be, the globalists that are turning the frickin' frogs gay, those people can continue to play the bullshit games that they play while the rest of us stand in the bread lines and beg somebody, please, for just one more spoonful, sir. Negative. I'm not playing those games. I'm not playing those games. I will not beg anybody's permission to exist. I will not beg anybody's permission to protect and provide for my family and the people that I love. You will not tell me what I can and cannot do. Governments derive their just powers from the consent of the governed. I do not consent to your bullshit. For we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equally and endowed by their creator with certain inalienable rights. And among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So if you intend to infringe upon my life, my liberty, or the pursuit of my happiness, you no longer have my consent, which means your powers, just or unjust, are no longer derived from me. If you're not going to play by the rules, neither am I. If you've decided that the rules give you a certain level of authority over me, which, by the way, is not how governments work. By the people, for the people. Well, damn it, people, stand up and can act like it. I'm worried that there are not enough men and women with spines in this country anymore. I know they're there. I just don't know if that there's a critical mass of them. That there may be too many sheeple to save the republic. And I'll repeat this again. I can't save the country. I can't rebuild the country. But I can save my house. I can save my neighborhood. I might even be able to save my town with enough help from neighbors. Praise the Father, my church doesn't need saving. But if it did, I'd be confident that we could handle that. But I can act small. I can act locally. But I'm given an opportunity by the Father right now to communicate globally. So hopefully, on the macro level, we can continue to share these ideas so that you can act on a micro level. Because I really think that's the only way to countermand whatever it is that's coming next. If things get truly screwy, it's not going to matter what the reptilian overlord said, because you'll be standing in line begging for bread or some such thing. And I have zero intention of doing that. grindstoneministries.com. You guys know the deal. grindstoneministries.com. If you want to help us fight human trafficking and rehabilitate victims of sex crimes, grindstoneministries.com. disastercoffee.com. Your Monday might be a disaster, but your coffee doesn't have to be. disastercoffee.com. Amendment, the number one, preparedness.com for all your prepper commo gear. Yes, we talk about these people every day. Why? Because they're friggin' awesome. The end. Your prepper commo gear. Amendment, the number one, preparedness.com. And sanctifiedsupplyco.com. If you're a human who wears clothes, sanctifiedsupplyco.com. Silver linings from the Bear Nation. Intel at bearindependent.com is where you send us information. Bear Nation, I coup-hemped, came out of her, my people, 2 months ago and have not looked back. My wife says I am a lot happier than I've been in a long time. My kids are having a blast and love to help clearing our land. Even though we bought a larger home, we have no more room to stack food, so I started to build an outbuilding. As far as work goes, moving 2 states away did not leave me unemployed. I found a job quickly and love going to work every day. A girl has finally been adopted. Praise Yah in the Bear Nation. And another viewer says, my mag runs a training school, medical, basic and advanced pistol, rifle, CCW, etc. We were going over basics of range rules and asking who had any medical training or equipment with them. A couple raised their hand and said, yes, they have stop the bleed training and held up a bear fac. A huge smile. You would be proud of them. They are only an hour from us. That's awesome. Good job, Bear Nation. That's awesome. If you're looking for awesome people, the forum's at bearindependent.com. The forum at bearindependent.com. Check it out. And of course, Bear Independent Refuge Medical and Refuge Training are all on us all over the socials. I would appreciate it if you would. Let's talk to the Father. Good morning, Father Yah. Father, thank you for this Monday. Thank you for another opportunity to walk in your convictions and to serve you to the best of our broken ability. Father Yah, thank you for all these people within the sound of my voice. And Father, thank you for speaking to us in ways that we can understand. Father, I pray that you would steward us through whatever it is that comes next. Your will would be made manifest, and that you would continue to protect us and provide for us and bless us. Father Yah, if there's anything within the sound of my voice that's not of you, we come together in agreement and rebuke it in the name of Yeshua HaMashiach and command it to flee. Father, I pray that and for peace that surpasses all understanding. Father, please continue to speak to us and to convict us and to teach us to walk in your ways. Father, thank you for giving us a life and for teaching us how to live it through Yeshua Messiah and for the atoning sacrifice of his blood. Father, Yah, I pray that you would just make us strong enough to stand when it is time to stand. And that you would just build a nation of mighty warriors. And that you would not be far from us. Father, Yah, I just lift all these people up to you and lay them at your feet and ask you to protect them and bless them and give us this day our daily bread. We ask these things in the mighty name of Yeshua HaMashiach. Amen. Bless you all. Have an awesome Monday. Go kick a bunch of ass and be the light. Shalom, Bear Nation.